Welcome, everyone, to another episode of After School with the Admins. I'm Marco Torillo, and I'm here with my co-host,
Des Caldwell. Welcome, everyone.
and we have a special guest today. We have educational royalty, this year's 2025 National Middle School Principal of the Year from Connecticut, from Norwalk Public Schools, Dr. Damon Lewis.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me, Marco. Thank you for having me, Des. I'm looking forward to the conversation. I really am. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. We're actually looking forward to this conversation, too. We want to just first start off, as we always do when we ask any guest, tell us a little bit about your backstory and your passion for it and how you got through into this world of being in education. Because we all know each of us have a different story, how we come about it, where we came from, what made us go into this field. But we'd love to hear from you where it got to you and how you got to this point where you are today.
You know what? That's a great question. It's how long do we have to talk about my backstory? No, well, you know, I was born and raised in Stratford, Connecticut, but then I went to high school in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Harding High School. Love Harding High School. Always shout out any chance I get. I graduated from Harding. I was fortunate enough coming out of Harding to have 4 full football scholarship offers. I played football in high school. So I was offered by UConn, by Northeastern, by Villanova, and by Boston University. So I chose UConn to play football at UConn. And that was 1990 I graduated from high school. So I go to UConn with my idea to be a business major, right? And sit in the corner office and make a lot of money and, you know, drive the most expensive car and what have you. That was my 18-year-old mind thinking. But then my mother, God bless her, she would send me articles from home about kids that I graduated with, young people that I went to school with, that I would say they weren't doing so well. They weren't faring so well in life. All right. They were not making good decisions. Some arrested, some had gotten killed. So at the end of my freshman year, Marco and Des, when I said to myself, you know, how selfish is it of me to continue this track to be a business major and make all this money, right? It's pretty selfish when there's people back home, right, in Bridgeport that look like me, that come from the same community, that weren't doing well. So right then and there, in the freshman year, I switched my major to English education. And I often tell people, just imagine a black male football player sitting in an English class studying Geoffrey Chaucer and Shakespeare and reading poems, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. So I graduated from UConn, went right back to Harding High School and started my career there as a paraeducator and an English teacher. Okay, so then I realized, you know, I had the urban experience as a student and as an educator. Then I went back to school and got a second master's in school counseling. So then I went to Trumbull High School. I wanted to try something different. Right. So I went to a suburban high school where the demographic was totally different from Harding High School. Harding High School was 99% minority, 100% free and reduced lunch. Right. Trumbull High School is the total opposite. And I absolutely loved it. And I loved it. And I fit in so well because UConn had prepared me. Right. My surroundings at UConn prepared me to work in a predominantly white environment. So that was no problem for me. So then for my school counseling position, I was going back to school. Then I received my 092 from University of Bridgeport. And then as soon as I finished with 092, I kept going. I didn't stop. I went straight through and I received my doctorate degree. All right. After I received go back to my 092 degree, I took a job in Stratford, Connecticut as the director or principal of the alternative high school. So I had 55, 60 kids that had been expelled or sent away from the traditional public high school. So I did that for 2 years. And then I was still working on my doctoral studies. And then after I received my doctorate, I started applying in Norwalk Public Schools. And I've been in Norwalk Public Schools for the last 15 years. I just started my 15th year, July 1st. And I've been in the same building. I did 4 years as an assistant principal at Ponus Ridge STEAM Academy, and now I'm going into my 11th year as the principal. And I love every single minute of it. I love it.
What is it about education that you love so much?
You know what? Oh gosh, we can talk forever. I love the teach and learning process. I love to see kids start from one point and end at another point. I like to see the growth of staff and teachers. I like to see the relationship building at Ponus. We talk about, we have several acronyms, but one of them is RBC, relationships before content. We're going to teach content. We're going to teach, grade level standards and have, complex text that kids have to grapple with. But we also want students and staff to feel a sense of belonging, right? A sense of belonging. So we really, really stress the relationships that our staff has with students and with families. So that's really, really big to me. I love that part of education. I like the idea that we're a 6-8 middle school with 670 kids, and we're about 70% free and reduced lunch, 90% minority. But we do a really, really good job. And I can say that with, wholeheartedly. The parents have bought in, the kids have bought in. It wasn't like that always, Marco and Desmond. I'll tell you that. It took some time. We had to rebuild some structures and some systems to make sure that, everyone was in the right frame of mind to be successful, right? From tier 1 instruction to our MLO population, to our students with disabilities, to our families. So it really took a turn, and we started to do things that we made sure everybody was included in some of the decision making. Hispanic students are our largest demographic. So we started a Hispanic parent group meeting. So the first Wednesday of every month, we have food, we have guest speakers. I have 2 of my staff members facilitate a meeting in entirely Spanish. We get about 70 or 80 families out in our library. In January, February, I push the envelope, and people in Norwalk would tell you I like to push the envelope because I'm not afraid of kind of like bucking the status quo. So in January, February, I had some immigration lawyers come in with all the stuff that was going on. And some of my Hispanic families were really, really nervous and really scared and really anxious. So I said, listen, we got to try to ease this, because they were not sending their kids to school, some of them, because they were afraid. So I got in contact with some immigration lawyers, and they came in and they talked about, the rights, what people can do, what they can't do. They gave families the red card with everything on the information that they need if someone tries to take you or your child. And so, again, not afraid to push the envelope for everyone that needs to be included in our school community. And we looked at data. Again, we looked at our largest demographic. We identified a problem of practice, right? We developed a theory of action, and we said, where are we going to get the most bang for our buck? And so that's something that we started maybe 2 years ago. We used to do it pre-COVID as well, right? I was doing this for a long time, and COVID hit. And then obviously everything shut down, but then we went back to it, and we've had a great turnout. So if we're talking about what I love about education, it's, that triangulation of, school, the community, the family, and the students know that, we constantly talk, right? One of our school-wide goals, Marco and Desmond, for the past 2 or 3 years, has been that every single one of our teachers has to send home a good news email twice a month. And we track it. We create an Excel spreadsheet, and the teachers have to CC either myself or the assistant principals, and they send home a good news email they have to do two times a month, starting in September, right? So that's something we do to make, the students and families feel included. We have the Hispanic parent group. We also have something I started a couple years ago called Walkthrough Wednesdays, right? So again, the first Wednesday of every month from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning, I open up the front doors of my school, and we just invite people in. So I get a lot of grade 5 parents. I get community agencies. I get current grade 6, 7, and 8 parents. And we go on a walking, talking tour of the building in real time. So if something pops off, if something happens, it's going to happen. But you know what? It's never happened. The kids don't know people are coming in. The staff know about 10, 15 minutes beforehand, because I want people to get a true picture of what teaching and learning looks like in our building without anything choreographed or what have you. So we're going to walk and talk and tour. We go into a couple of our specialty classrooms. We have a Verizon lab. We have a huge technology lab where, we teach some really, really cool stuff like coding and computer science and Lego robotics. We do all those things. So we're a STEAM school. And again, I want to get back to, providing access and opportunity to kids who won't traditionally have access to those types of courses, right? A lot of other kids have access to those courses, but there's not a lot of kids in urban areas that can say, I'm in a computer science class. I'm in a music technology class. I don't sing, I don't play an instrument, but I love to create music. I can be a producer one day. So we're providing these opportunities for kids and families to feel included, right? And after school club, we have about 20 to 25 after school clubs, ranging from obviously a STEAM club to a garden club to an esports gaming club to all kinds of things. You know what I mean? And I'm a big proponent of, always, lead with passion and purpose, and anything else will come. I'm a big proponent of process over product, right? We don't teach to the test in our building. We say if we're meeting during teacher teams, if we're taking good notes, if we're looking at data, if we're doing all those little things, the product's going to happen, right? The product's going to happen. Right. If you do all the little things that we've set in place and be intentional about it and be deliberate about it and don't leave it to hope and faith, because hope and faith are not strategies in education. They are hope. Oh, I hope that it works. Let me throw it to the wall. Right. Let's pray that work. Prayer is great, but prayer without work is just prayer. And I'm not trivializing prayer, but prayer without work, without rolling your sleeves up and getting in the sandbox, is just prayer. So we talk a lot about really helping kids, meeting kids where they are, right? And traditionally, in the past, we've received students, scholars from traditionally. Now it's not like that now, but it was the 3 lowest performing elementary schools will come into my building. So we'd have a lot of kids coming in below grade level, right? So one thing I talked about in my essays to the state and for the national award, I talked about it last year. And our 8th graders took the PSATs, because our 8th graders take PSATs, right? Our 8th graders outpaced the state, the district, and the nation, right? Now, these are kids coming in 6th grade a lot of them below grade level, right? In 6th grade, but maybe working with 4th, 5th grade standards, right? But it's just, we're really, really intentional about what we teach, how we teach. We have something in our building we call the Big 3. So everything, anytime we go into a classroom, we've got to have these Big 3 on the board. And it's the standard, right? The grade level standard, the objective, and the criteria for success, right? That criteria for success has to be quantified. So it's, I know, and it's stated in I statements, I know I am successful when right? And it's not just I know I'm successful when I complete the worksheet. That's just a vague example. Then I tell the teachers that that worksheet could be 100% wrong. They completed it, right? They completed it, but it's I know I'm successful when I correctly annotate or correctly solve 75% of the problems from the IM curriculum. Right. It's got to be quantified. So kids know when they leave that day, that's what they learned. That was a criteria for success. And teachers, when they're given exit slips, they can take those exit slips and use them as, again, data, problem of practice, theory of action, to form groups the next day, right? Right? Who's going to be in this group? Who's going to be in that group based on how they performed? So everything is an assessment. Everyone's always being evaluated. It's just the nature of it. So, Marco, that's a long answer to that question, but those are just a few of the things I love about education.
So Dr. Lewis, there had to have been a process for mindset shifts. Right? I know that you've spoken about the importance of relationships. My finding has been that typically when you focus on building relationships, there is an initial drop in academic success because there is this feeling of they've got it hard enough. You know, I'm not going to push them academically as much. And so talk to me about your process for, you said that there was a point in time where you were receiving students who were not finding success in elementary school. And now, obviously, there are strong relationships and there's also the academic success. Talk to me about how you went from almost one extreme to the other.
You know what? That's a great question, Des. And I will say in 2 words, a lot of courageous conversations. But I don't even call them courageous. I'm never going to apologize for speaking on behalf of a kid. Never. So you never hear me say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you." No, we're dealing with kids. We're dealing with our future, and we got lives to save. So that mindset shift happens when, before you can do all those things, you have to have, again, real conversations about what does all kids truly mean, right? And I have a saying in my building, and my staff will tell you, so what, now what, right? It's really, really simple to blame down. Oh, they didn't do this in elementary school, right? Or if you're a high school principal, right? You can say, oh, what are they doing in 8th grade? How come they didn't teach this standard? How come Listen, so what, now what? We know what kids are in front of us, right? We've got the 5th grade data to prove it. What are we going to do about it? We're going to sit and waste our time with twiddle our thumbs talking about what they didn't do in 5th grade or what they didn't do in 8th grade as a high school principal? We can waste all of our time doing that. We're also wasting the lives of a kid. We don't have that time. They're already coming in behind. So I always say in our building, we have a lot of sayings. We have to accelerate and intervene simultaneously. So we've got to accelerate the kids that are there and intervene and provide tier 2 interventions for the kids that need it, right? So in our tier 2 classes, we are teaching from the tier 1 resource, and we use the tier 2 resource to supplement. So if you are in math or reading intervention, you are using the grade level, say you're in grade 7, IM curriculum, right? So the kid has some familiarity when they go into a tier 1 math class. The teacher has front loaded, so they're walking, they're saying, oh, I've done this before. I've seen this material before. So it's a sense of confidence, like I can do this now, right? Because a kid's not going to have IM in tier 1, then go to tier 2 math, and it's going to have an IXL read platform, right? So we want to give the same resources across every classroom, so it builds continuity and consistency. But going back to that mindset shift, I've had, straight conversation with teachers like, if this isn't the place for you, maybe you should look someplace else. I mean, that's simple. If you don't believe that all kids can learn from whatever background they're coming from, this may not be the place for you. Because here in this building, we believe all kids can learn. Every single kid, whether they're dropped off in the latest 2026 Mercedes, or they're getting dropped off by grandma in the 1967 station wagon, or they're walking. It doesn't matter. We've got a job to do. We're obligated to help kids. And any staff member will tell you that. I'm really big, again, on process over product and progress over perfection. Right? Progress over perfection. We just have to keep, as you say in football, just keep chopping wood, right? Just keep chopping wood. The tree's gonna fall. Just keep chopping wood. Don't get discouraged. It's one data point. We've got the data point. All data is gonna do is inform our next steps. But those next steps have to be deliberate and intentional. and extremely strategic because we've only got 6.5 hours in the day. That's it.
Right.
That's it. We're 8 to 2:50. We tell our families, look, from 2:51 to 7:59, they're yours. Take care of them, love them, hug them. But we got you from 8 to 2:50. We've got you. It's just things like that. We were able to reduce chronic absenteeism like 23% in 1 year. We were like 31% chronic absenteeism. We were high a couple years ago.
Talk us through that.
Yeah, we were about 31%. I remember going to a conference maybe as an AP. No, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm sitting in the conference. It was all the schools that, have these high chronic absenteeism numbers. And I'm sitting there like in my head, I'm never, ever coming back here again. I drew a line in the sand right there. I said, it's like you're sitting in the corner with the dunce cap on. I'm like, I'm never coming back here. So right there, I'm on a ride home. I'm calling my APs. I'm like, we got to do something. So we set up an attendance team, and our attendance team actually starts in homeroom. So any homeroom teacher or a kid is absent 2 consecutive days, 2 days in a row, they email the family and the student. Real simple. Hey, I do notice you've been out the last couple days. Starts there. Then we have our attendance team where I have a dean of students, and the dean of students meets every other week with the grade level counselors, and they get a list of kids, that have been absent. And we send letters home, a first draft, a second draft, a third draft. I send home emails every Friday. I call them my end of week updates. Every Friday, I send home an email to families and attendance is always in there. And I've told families, all 670, I said, I am not making a threat. This is a fact. If you continue not to send your kids to school, and we know who it is, I tell them, we know who it is, I will have to call DCF and include the outside agencies. So I don't want to, and it's not a threat, it's a fact. I will do it. Okay? That coupled with, listen, honestly, we go to kids' houses, we knock on the doors, right? We knock on the door and they say, oh, Dr. Lewis is at the door. Come on, let's go. We got to go to school. What are you doing? And we literally bring them to school. We call our SRO. SRO meets us at the house. We call it wellness checks, right? Mm-hmm. We get the kid, we put them in a car, let's go to school. Like you said earlier, Des, and Mark was just do the work. Mm-hmm. If the kid's not coming to school, go to his house, right? We looked at data 2 weeks ago, and we looked at our suspension data, and we saw that about 15 kids made up for about 80% of our suspensions, right? So guess what we did? We went to those 15 kids' house 2 weeks ago. We knocked on the doors. We sat down in the living room with their parents or guardians, and we set goals. Who can you talk to when you're not feeling stable? What are some things we can help you with academically? You're going into 7th or 8th grade next year. What classes would you like to be in? What teachers would you like to have? We do all that legwork, right? Mm-hmm. Again, I'm big on process, right? We do all that legwork in the summer, and we'll bring bags of food because we have a food pantry in my school too, where parents can come in 3-4 days a week and get food. We'll bring food, and we just do the legwork. And as a result, our chronic absenteeism a couple years ago was 31%. And this past May, we're low at 7.7. Wow. We got our chronic to 7.7. Wow. And I do you one better. Our MLL students and our students with disabilities come to school, their attendance is better than non-MLL and non-SPED.
That's awesome. That is literally, it's what you've been talking about. It always brings a smile on my face when I hear someone talk, number one, with the same passion that you've been having with it, because everything you're saying, you can tell it's real. It's authentic. What you're saying is not a situation of, that you say it and tell others to do it. It's more of you are boots on the ground. If I'm going to tell you it, I'm doing it with you. We're going to do it. Like, I think of when you were talking about the fact of like the home business things, like the district I'm in now, when I first got here, no one in my middle school had ever done a home visit. The first weeks of being here, I was just like, they were saying like, oh, this kid didn't come in yet. I said, okay, what's the address? I'll go to the house. They're like, what? Like, I'll go to the house. Like, it's what we do. Like, we should stop by. See, I remember I stopped at the door. The family was like, wow, thank you so much for coming by. And I was like, yeah, anytime. I'm like, I just want to make sure I can help your kid in any way possible.
That's it.
It's just things like that sometimes we almost get to that world in areas where it's the garbage can is right there and there's a piece of paper in front of it and people are walking by going, I can't believe someone just threw that on the ground. We couldn't even move it 2 more steps. Instead of someone just going by and going, I'll pick it up and put it in the garbage can.
Yeah.
Now the next person behind me saw me do that and we'll do that too.
Right.
So Marco, I love that example. My great grandfather set us up when we were little with a situation where he put a piece of paper on the floor, right? Hid a $5 bill underneath that piece of paper. We walked by that piece of paper, I don't know how many times, and didn't pick it up and throw it away. So then finally, hours later, he walks by, picks up the paper and says, if somebody had just picked up this paper, they'd have $5 right now. I don't know if there's been another point in my life where I've walked past a piece of paper.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And the fact that you brought that statement up of so what, now what? I don't know if you got it from it, but I know for me, I heard that statement first from the TED Talk with the principal from Strawberry Hill, who she brings up. She's from Philadelphia. She brings up every time a staff member said something, it's so what?
Right.
The next statement is now what? What are we going to do about it? Is the last statement. I have it written, literally, I pointed behind me on the screen. I have it written on my board. It's on the very top. Every single time I have that piece there about so what, now what are we going to do about it?
Right.
We got to figure that out. So whenever I'm in my office and I'm upset about something, trying to figure it out, it's, what are you going to do?
What do we do?
It's not going to get any better sitting here kicking the can in the corner. It's going to be like, you got to figure out what you're going to do to make it better.
Right.
And I love that process idea because that's really what it is. And greatness is a process. It's never not going to be one step, all done. Things go away. It's step by step along the way. And I love it. I love the fact that you're saying that and kind of going through how you did it and you saw the results.
Yeah.
By doing those pieces, you saw the result. You started, you built it, you started the process, you looked at data to make sure that it was working. You used it as decision-making process going forward. You were, again, boots on the ground and you're open with all aspects of it. As you go through, the answer is, this is what we are and what we do here.
Yes. Either
you agree with it and you are part of the process, or you don't agree with it and you may need to find a new home. Or the fact of the matter is you're like, that shocked me almost when you said about opening the doors once a week. You open the doors and let people come on in just because I'm thinking in my head of more that safety aspect. But I love the idea of that because this is what we do. This is not hey, it's almost like that idea of the formal observation.
Yeah.
Coming into a formal, this is going to be the best teaching you've ever done in your life because the kids already know that you're coming in because the teachers definitely had that conversation. I'm like, listen, Tuesday we're doing this. Wednesday we can go and have a treat afterwards if everyone is fantastic in this room at this time. Like that whole idea instead of the informal observation. So I love that idea that you go in, you have like, this is what we do here, and people have bought in.
Yeah. We're to the point now. We have open choice in Norwalk where kids from elementary schools can choose wherever they want to go. And because of that, those walkthrough Wednesdays, I have kids now from 10 of the 11 elementary schools. Just last week, I had to cap my 6th and 7th grade because I don't have any. I had to tell like 10 families, I'm sorry, we just don't have room. We don't have room, and it's crazy. My central office staff, they say like Ponus is like the Cinderella story because I can tell you it wasn't always like this. We had some rough things going on. Right. But again, just like I said at that Congregationalism meeting, you just have to draw a line in the sand. You should say enough is enough. Like enough is enough. Right. And you come up with clear structures and systems. And my first couple years in the principalship, I will say I was in that building 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And my wife was like, I didn't sign up for this, but
Mm-hmm.
I said, Keisha, we've got to turn around. We're losing too many kids. We're losing too many, and we've got. So now we're at a point we're doing a lot better, and instead of families and students not wanting to come to Ponus, wanting to go to the private school or the Catholic school or what they want to come to Ponus because of the experiences that we offer. And the staff and the climate that we built, right? Now, I'm a firm believer that culture and climate are two separate things, but I will say we've got both of them. We're doing pretty good right now. And there's one thing that we also as an admin team that has helped with the consistency and continuity of things. We meet every single day. We have a standing meeting at 12 o'clock every single day. We meet as an admin team. That's me, my two admin, and my dean. Every single day. Something else we do intentionally. Anytime we walk past our front door, right? We have, security. You have the man trap where you come in a set of doors and you get, the routine. But I tell my admin team, anytime you walk by the front door and there's a parent or a family there, you take 30 seconds, go through that front door, introduce yourself, tell them who you are, ask them what grade their kid is in, and ask them for any kind of feedback, and thank them for sending their kid to Ponus STEAM Academy. Mm-hmm. That 10, 20-second conversation, talk about pay it forward. So when you do have to make that call, that little Johnny threw a French fry in the cafeteria, right? That parent's going to say, why is Dr. Lewis calling me? And what did you do? Mm-hmm. He's a good man. He's a good man. What did you do? But nothing. That man spoke to me in a man trap, and he asked me about feedback and wanted to know my thoughts about the school and how we can improve it, and gave me his card. So he's calling me for a reason. So, you get to engage families in a different level. And there's some things we also do, talking about going on to the community. We can always have more parent involvement. I mean, who doesn't want more parent involvement? I've got 670 kids. I want double that. I want everybody at the PTO, right? So some things we did a couple years ago, we're going to start doing again this year. I actually did it last year. We brought the PTO meetings to the community. So we would go with our PTO or our school governance council to the areas of the city where our families live. So we would go to the public housing communities, to the projects. They all have like a conference room or a party. We would go there, and the families would come, and we would bring the meeting to them. Like, again, Des is rolling up, just doing the work. And to me, it's how can I? It seems like, Marco, we talk kind of the same language. It seems so simple. Like, Marco, when you got to school, you said the kid's been out. Well, I'm going to his house. Huh? What? Yeah, he hasn't been here. I'm going to his house. Right? We're not getting families to our PTO meeting. Well, let's bring the meeting to them. Walk out your building, come to the meeting. We'll have food. And I don't know. It just seems simple to me. I don't know if people are just, caught up with it being somewhat litigious, or, I don't want to, it's out of my job description, or I don't know. We got to get kids in the building. You get kids in the building, give opportunities to learn, to be successful.
I think people are stuck in their structures, right? And this is the way it's always been. And there was a time where people were successful this way, right? And not to that everybody wants to go back in time, but it's this new thing. And will it work? Are we willing to try it? What are the logistics of it? And, rather than like, let's just act. Let's just move forward with this. Let's just make this happen. We can come back and we can dissect it afterward and figure out how we're going to make it better. But would we rather do that, or would we rather see day 3, 4, 5 of this kid not being here? Because at some point, we have now allowed this new norm to be created for this kid, where now it's going to be that much harder to get back into school and get back into the structures in the day. Not to mention, what day is it? And this is what always resonates for me. What number day in a row is it that the neighborhood gang leader,
Mhm.
or the job started to look more enticing than school, right? And you know what? I'm just gonna start picking up daytime hours now, and I'll figure out the school thing later.
Yeah.
Like, at what point does that happen? And what if we had intervened a day earlier,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Those pieces are
Very important.
once you've lost a kid, those are the things you sit and you think on,
Mhm.
right? Like, was that meeting that important?
Right. Right.
Right?
And
There
I
were
think
15
especially
other
from
people in that other meeting that I quote unquote couldn't miss.
yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both to what you're saying. I agree. Everything of what you're saying is absolutely true, but I also think it goes to that experience that you've had of the ones you've lost along the way to let you know when you move to your next stop, you're already a few steps ahead in the thought process than individuals that you're trying to think about it for the first time.
Hmm.
Like, I almost think of it like chess. Like, you already are looking at the board in a different format than maybe other individuals are because of some of your past experiences,
Mhm.
where you've been, what you've done, going through. So when it comes to a situation like that, like, why is this kid not in school? What's going on? Like, you've already seen some of the versions, if you will, of like what could happen to this child. So your mindset is, I'm going to move forward with this piece because I know there's a higher percentage chance that this may work, and we
Mhm.
can do it like this. I think that gets into play a lot because, each of you both have had experience in multiple districts, multiple styles of school, have dealt with schools, like you just said, like when you first got to your school, Dr. Lewis, you were saying it wasn't the way it is now,
Mhm.
which is great to hear and to think about what you've done. And I would almost bet if I were to ask you, you're still not satisfied, and you
No,
probably will never be
never,
satisfied in the work,
never.
which is what
Listen,
I call it the Hamilton moment of
never,
that, like that idea of never be satisfied.
never,
Like, that's the world. It's
never.
just, but that's why your mind, I think, works the way it does to get to the level you've got, because you'll never be satisfied from where
Mhm.
they're at. But I think it does go into that, where, like you've said, like you think of that other side of it where maybe not everyone thinks of, where you're
Mhm.
thinking of like how many days, Des, of like this student has now had the opportunity to be swayed to look at other things because they
Mhm.
haven't been in the building to learn on that.
Mhm.
But I don't think everyone's had that thought process
Yeah.
because their experiences didn't let them see that.
Mhm.
Because their
Yeah.
mindset, they don't think of it that way
Yeah.
because they're used to the 70 to 80% of the kids that don't live that life,
Mhm.
that have never been through that life. And it doesn't affect them because they didn't live that life.
Yeah.
They don't know it, and they don't see those different types of altercations that could be out there for
Mhm.
them. So I think that also feeds into it, because I think that's why it's what makes you both amazing administrators and educators, because you see the board and you see the different
Mhm.
outcomes, you see the different experiences, and you also have those live experiences,
Mhm.
for things that you've seen from individuals that are close friends to you, or your own lives that you've seen.
Mhm.
And you say, like, listen, I know what could happen.
Yeah.
And it's simplest of choices, things that you don't realize on a day to day. It can be that determines
Mhm.
this person's life. So I think that also feeds into it too for those individuals who don't
Mhm.
see it. And it's that you don't know type of
Mhm.
mentality. And that's why I think sometimes you get individuals who don't, but that's where I think we come in and help individuals to see
Mhm.
it and start to understand it and learn it.
Mhm.
That actually feeds into my question I had for Dr. Lewis. We just had a great conversation piece, but was, how did you build the trust? Because I understand the line in the sand. I understand the structures you put in place to start to develop these things, but how did you build that trust to buy into it and understand it? Because I can completely see going in and being like, listen, here's how the meeting's going to go now. Here's how we're making decision making process. This is what's going to happen. This is going to go. And then you get those ones going, uh-huh. Well, I also know that the last principal lasted 2 years.
Mhm.
And I know the fact of this is your first time doing this school this way. I've been here for 12. I'll wait it out. I'll wait and see if the winds change or not. So, like, I wonder, how did you build that trust to feel comfortable with the things that you were doing, including like that, getting everyone to know, like, hey, tomorrow could be Johnny's mom's going to come in and just take a look at the class. And they're just
Mhm.
like, whatever. Like, how did you build that trust?
You know what? The wind hasn't changed in 15 years, Marco. This is year 15 in the building. The wind hasn't changed.
Yep.
It has helped that I did serve in the building 4 years as an AP. That helped. It also helped that when I was first hired, I visited as an AP I visited all the local churches that fed into my school building, right? You know, I stood up as a visitor, introduced myself, and you start to build connections that way. But I have this 80-10-10 rule in education, right? Anytime there's a new initiative, 80% of your staff, Dr. Lewis, we got you. We're on board. We'll follow you. You're proven here. 10% sit on the fence. I can see it going either way, you know. Then those last 10% or the 10% that sit in the back of the faculty room, right? And they're like this, arms folded. Like you said, Marco, I've been here 20 years. I'm not changing, X, Y, and Z. So how I got people to buy in, I said, look, we've got 80%, right? Just because of they know how I am, they know the work that I've done, right? Then if I can get that 10% that's on the fence, now I'm doing 90-10, right? So I've got this 90-10 ratio. So what we've done to build trust instructionally and to get people to buy in, we've turned our faculty meetings into mini PD sessions. No more do we do all the operational stuff at faculty meetings because we'll be wasting time. Oh, there's a fire drill this day. We've got this day. We've got early dismissal. I can send all that in the email. So what we're doing instructionally, we identify 6 or 7 teachers who have some really strong pedagogical practices, and we have them set up in 6 or 7 stations, and we break down our staff into groups of 5 or 6 people, right? And they go around to these 6 or 7 stations led by teachers, and we have like 6 or 8 minute cycles. And we tell the teachers that are presenting, it has to be something that's practical, right? That someone can take and implement it tomorrow or the next day, right? So we get the buy-in from the teachers, from their peers. So their peers present on something in aligned with instruction or standards or a platform that they've used or a strategy that they've used or any type of placement activity or some probing questions or things that help kids think critically and more deeper about a text. So we have their peers present to themselves, to their colleagues, and then they get an idea of it and they say they use it the next day. So when we go into the classrooms, right, we see these things being implemented. And I've had a million teachers come up to me and say, Dr. Lewis, that really worked. You know, and I would say that, and I would tell you guys the truth because I'm really honest, right? I say, you know what? If it didn't work, it didn't work, but it did work. So you ask how we get buy-in. We have teachers present to teachers. We have intervisitation within our building. So if Marco, you're doing something really, really great in grade 6 math, right? And Desmond is your team teacher in grade 6 math, right? Say you do your transitions really well. You got 10 seconds, boom, right? And Desmond's maybe having a problem with, there may be 1 or 2 minutes. I will have my math teacher go and cover Desmond so Desmond could go see you teach, Marco, and vice versa. So we have these intervisitations, and we have to front load and tell the teacher it's non-evaluative, right? Teachers don't evaluate teachers, but we're just trying to exchange best practices. So we're all doing what's right for kids, you know? Couple that with the fact that, you know, when we changed some structures last year, talked about an operational structure, we have no bells in my building. We don't have any bells. So you'll never hear a bell in my building, not one. We have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and we operate on 3 different schedules. Okay, so when I got there, we used to have close to 700 kids moving every period, and it was just a beast to manage. So we looked at our schedule, we looked at how things were lined up, X, Y, and Z. So now we have no bells, and 6th grade moves at one time. When 6th grade is moving, there's 225 kids in 6th grade. The other 7th and 8th grade, they're still in class, right? Then 7th grade moves. You have to come visit. Please come visit. Come see the school. And what it's helped with, it's also helped operationally for buy-in. Again, talking about buy-in, Marco. A couple of years ago, I changed about 30 teachers' classrooms. Now we know how that is in school, changing classrooms, very territorial, right? And oh, I've been here 20. Listen, we're going to grade levels. So in our building, we have all of sixth grade in one hallway, all of seventh grade in another hallway, all of eighth grade downstairs in a separate hallway. So a kid in sixth grade, his math class is either right next door to his ELA class or right across the hall, and right next door to his social studies class, and then right across the hall is his science class. So all their core classes are in one single hallway. And teachers initially were like, they were skeptical. Oh, it's they need to be interacting with more people the first couple months of school. Dr. Lewis, this is a great idea. We keep the sixth graders almost, I'll say, by themselves, isolated, because sixth graders are a little bit more close to elementary, right, until about November, December. And then we have seventh grade in their own hallway and eighth grade in their own hallway. So we have three major transitions during the day when all the kids move at one time. No, two. So there's 2 times during the day where the whole building's moving. That's when we transition to lunch, and then at the end of the day. But other than that, every grade moves at their own time. So instead of managing 700 kids, we're managing like 225. So that's teachers had to buy into that, and they had to buy into it. Like Desmond said, you just have to do it. You got to do it. You can't wait for the perfect time, because it's never going to be perfect. Right? If you keep waiting, as we all know, a new thing is going to come on your plate from central office. New things are going to go, and then that thing that you wanted to do on Tuesday is now pushed to the following Tuesday. And then you're kicking yourself as you drive home reflecting, saying, darn it, I just should have did it that Tuesday. Now I'm piled up.
Yep.
I just should have did it. So I said, let's just do it. Let's see how it works. And then if we have to tweak it and adjust and look at some data points, and we'll do that. But we've got to jump in. We can't wait. We can't continue to wait. So, 80-10-10 rule. 80 on your side right from the start, before you even roll it out. 80% of people are going to say, okay, we're going to paint the building. Let's do it. You have that 80. And I can only say that because I've been in the same building for 14, and people know me. They know, I'm an upfront and honest guy, and I'm not going to lead them down a river with no paddles. I'm going to make the calculated risk for them. Right, because that's what we do as leaders. We put ourselves out front, right? You read the book by Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last, right? And I'm a big Jim Collins fan, Good to Great and Great by Choice and all those things, and thriving during uncertainty and chaos, and just things you have to do, and it's just part of the practice that we employ. And making sure kids get what they need, and they are set up for success. I tell our teachers, our admin team, I said, as admin, we are the one, we build the house. We build the structure. We build the schedule. We build this. And it's the teachers who work within that structure. So if we want our teachers to be successful, we've got to set up a great structure. And a great structure is not having 700 kids pass at one time. A great structure is having 200 kids pass at one time, right? A great structure is having those big 3 posted on your board anytime the admin comes in. A great structure is my team and I spend very, very little time in our office. We are in classrooms all the time as instructional leaders, and nothing takes precedence over instruction other than school safety. The physical and mental well-being of people. But instruction takes the first. It's the first thing. It's, if I have an observation at 9 o'clock and something happens on the bus, I just ask my secretary, call the bus company, get the video footage, and I deal with it later. I've got to get in classrooms, because that's where the magic happens. That's I don't say that's my spiel, but that's the real talk. You will not see anything choreographed if you came into my building. If you ask students, Dr. Lewis is never in his office. I have a CAF. I'm in a CAF. I do a shift in a CAF. I'm a principal. And my supervisor says, Dr. Lewis, can't you find someone to do that? And I tell my supervisor, and I love her to death. I say, my 30 minutes in the cafeteria, 30 minutes in the cafeteria potentially saves me 2 hours of investigating, looking at cameras, calling parents, interviewing students. Let me do this 30 minutes. Okay, you got it. Okay. Okay. Come on. I mean, it's what we do. And you know, I love doing it. I love doing it. You know, we don't allow kids to, we have this another saying, this no chin to chest mentality. Don't walk around feeling sorry for yourself. Right? You walk around always, you see kids with their chin in their chest. Pick your head up, man. Pick your head up. Right? Feel proud, be proud of who you are and what you are going to become. Right? Just so many things. We talk about the 5 P's, and proper preparation prevents poor performance. Right? Well, you have to be prepared because kids are coming in that building, regardless of what happened with your family the other night before. We need you to be the best version of yourself because our kids deserve it and they expect it.
That's amazing. We are getting near the end of our time, but I did want to ask one other thing that I read about you. And I think this is phenomenal because I know this is something that's near and dear both to Des and my heart. You created something called Equity Ambassadors Program. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that was in your school, how that came about, and how that was received with staff?
You know, our equity ambassadors are actually staff members, right? Now they're staff members, right? We have an equity team in our building, and our team presents at faculty meetings, and they go to PD before they present, and they present on implicit bias. They present on grading practices. They present on disproportionality with suspensions, right? So we allot them time with PLCs during the school day. We get coverage for them, and it's 4 or 5 teachers that have taken this work on, right? To just let people know and staff know that you may not be doing this consciously, but look at our data, right? Look at our data. Excuse me, we're a PBIS school, and we have the PBS platform. We're able to purchase it. And we have teachers look at their data and say, look at how many students received a referral, right? Look at their ethnic background, right? And can we see a correlation? Again, those conversations you cannot be afraid to have, because if you're afraid to have them, our kids are going to continue to be disproportionately suspended. And when you bring it to people's face, right, it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's bad. It's not bad. It's a data point. So what are the next steps going to be, right? So suspension, I'll just take suspension, for example, as our absolute last resort. I'm sure it's with you guys too. Unless it's something egregious, right? It's something egregious, you know, weapon, drugs, that, you know. But if it's something that we can live with, we have something called the Restorative Solutions Center, right? The RSC, in which one of our teachers has before school restorative solution centers, after school restorative solution centers. And they're not just, you know, people say it's just detention. It's not detention. It's the students and the teacher. They fill out a reflective sheet. They ask them, you know, what prompted this? What was the antecedent? Why did you say this? Why did this behavior take place? If you're in this situation, what would you do again? You know, those type of things. Again, our suspension numbers have been the lowest in the district for the last couple of years, not just because, but now people are cognizant, and they know we have the equity ambassadors, and they know that they present, and they know that we're tracking this data. You know what I mean? So it really, really helps. Another data point involving equity and disproportionality, I stated my school is our school, the building I work in is it's about 70% Hispanic, right? But then you walk into the gifted and talented program, right? And it's disproportionately white, right? So one of our school-wide goals 2 years ago And notice it was a school-wide goal, not just a school-wide goal. So everyone knew that Poland Ridge STEAM Academy, our goal was to increase the number of Hispanic students in our gifted and talented program, right? And we did that because I was on the gifted and talented redesign committee. And in Norwalk, it used to be if you took a test in third grade, if you didn't get in third grade, that was it. So now Norwalk pushed it to now you can be tested and assessed 2 times a year in the school year. And teachers can nominate, parents can nominate their kid, right? We have a meeting with the gifted and talent coordinator, the teacher that recommends a student. They bring student work samples. We look at NWA data. We look at SBAC data. We look at all those things. And the way we set up our schedule, Desmond and Marco, is that if a kid gets in a gifted and talented, say at the end of September, early October, again, we talk about wasting time. We don't wait. That kid goes into gifted and talented right then. We don't wait for next year. We want to position our kids in a way, and I'm sure you guys know this, that they're taking those high level courses. They're having access in high school to the algebras as early as possible so they can get to that calculus before they graduate, right? So we do the same thing 2 years after we increase the number of Hispanic students. Now, more than half our students in GT are Hispanic, right? Then the following year, we said we've got to increase the number of Black students in gifted and talented. Then we met that goal. And then just last year, we walked to our accelerated math class, and it was heavy male. So we said we have to increase the number of female students in accelerated math, right? And we took NWA early in the year. We moved female. Our goal was to get 8. We got 12, right? Because they knocked NWA out the park. They go through accelerated math. They met the criteria, but they went right then and there. We didn't wait for another year.
Yeah.
So if you're in 6th grade at the end of September, if you were in 6th grade Common Core math and you took that test, you were recommended, and the way our schedules lined up, there'll be no new schedule. Like we'll just take you out of Common Core math and insert accelerated math, and you're right then and there. Okay, so it's being intentional and deliberate, which we talked about with scheduling. Right? Looking at, Marco talked about playing chess and not check, looking at the big picture. And as administrators, we have to maintain that 30,000 foot view. Right. When we first started this equity work, I told our scheduler, I said, we have to make sure that those math classes line up with those accelerated math classes. So when we do have to make switches, it doesn't disrupt the kid's schedule. Right? It's the in and out, we're done. We don't have to move this to period 1, this to period 4. It's a clean slate. So we're really, really big on that equity work, and just just ensuring that every kid at least has the opportunity, right, to have access to those courses that are going to put them in a much better position when they get to high school and when they go to college.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. This is fantastic.
Listen, we love talking to great educators, and it flows. It just gets a chance because we know once you get talking on something, if you've got a passion for it, you can keep it moving, and we can talk back and forth, and everyone's got something to add to it because everyone's dealt with it in their own way, in their own path, in their own thing, with their own successes. So we love hearing from great educators. Listening to you talk today has been fantastic.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. This is great.
Des, any final thoughts?
No, I just want to again thank you, Dr. Lewis, for talking with us, sharing some amazing information. I definitely feel like this conversation could have gone for the rest of the day. Really, this is awesome. Definitely would like to extend an invitation, an open invitation, if there's ever another topic you want to discuss or just something you want to share, to please reach out. We'd love to have you back on the podcast. Again, congratulations on Principal of the Year. And, I feel like I learned a lot, and I hope that our listeners feel the same way.
Thank you. Maybe we can do a part 2, right?
Absolutely.
We'll do a part 2. I'd love to keep chopping up with you guys. Really.
No lie, I've got still more questions for you because I'm even thinking about your past. When you said about your time going through school, how was that experience? That kind of led to your thought process here.
Yeah.
Work you've done. We didn't even we touched a little bit on the gifted and talented program that you did. I know there's a lot more to talk about. So I would love, we can definitely look at a part 2. And I was jotting down notes on some things I'm going to steal from you that I already got that I was like, I love the idea of the Spanish speakers. Like in my head, I'm already thinking about open house, having students who speak Spanish walk with other ones and be interpreters and kind of create a group for one of those. And just the good news twice a month, all that kind of stuff. I'm just already when we do this, Des and I always say it's really like we borrow whatever we possibly can because we know in education we borrow and steal from each other's like there's no tomorrow.
Yes.
Just getting a chance to hear about it, loving the stuff that I heard. And I know you said for us to come see you. I would even same back. You're more than welcome to come to my school, see it. I would love to see that, to hear your point of view on some of the things that we do here. And I'd love to see yours to kind of hear about those parts too. I think it's just fantastic. Wherever you can learn from someone else, I'm always in for it.
Yes, absolutely. We tell our kids to be lifelong learners. I'm a lifelong learner. I can't stop. And I think, what you said, Marco, a lot of stuff that fuels me is because of my past, and the things that I've experienced and things that I've seen. And I just want kids to have better opportunities, and not have to, I won't say waste time, right? Yeah. Provide them what they need and get them on the right path, right? And then wrap them around with, all the services possible and what have you. So,
Absolutely. Well, we've said a lot today, and we could honestly say more. But again, Dr. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate the conversation. Des, as always, love having conversations with you. We keep it going as much as we can.
That's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Desmond. I appreciate it.
With that, school's out.
School's out. Thank you, guys.
You all will be missed. Until then, I gotta blow you a kiss. Until we meet again on that other side, this my rhyme. We all love you to the end of this time, always. Know this, you all will be missed. Until then, I gotta blow you a kiss. Until we meet again on that other side, this my rhyme. We all love you to the end of this time, always.